All right. Hey, and we're live over here on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. What's up, everybody? We're getting Instagram ready to rock and roll. Hold on, give us a second. IG should be happening
Absolutely.
any moment here.
Do you see an invite from me, sir,
I
on
don't
Instagram?
I don't yet, but now I do. Now we're good. We're coming in hot.
There it is.
All right, cool. So let's turn this down. All right, cool. Are we here? Are you good?
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. Hey, welcome to another Wednesday night of the Good Life. Excited to be back with you. It's me and Kabi. Stu is driving to family on the road, so safe travels to that man. But we're gonna hold it down tonight on the Good Life.
Absolutely.
So, Kabi, how's your night so far, brother?
Excellent, man. And I appreciate, if we get one person, two people on here, I appreciate it. For me, this is like therapy right here, right? This
Me
is
too, man. Me too.
this is where we get to talk about the real stuff that's on my mind all the time that I just if I was to truly open up to most people I know, they'd be like, okay, all right, up, you gotta
That's
go.
enough. That's enough. That's enough. That's enough. Thanks.
Oh man, how
That's
are you,
it.
brother? How things going for you? How's
Life
your
is
week been so far?
life is good. The week has been good. Again, continuing to impact people, continuing to take care of family, take care of business, continue to reach out and touch people and help people with money and all that good stuff. So life has been good. As we slow down and kind of get to this holiday season, things start to slow down. We get a chance to talk to family a bit more. Um, but yeah, in general, man, things have been really good for us. Been really good. So I'm just excited to kind of get this thing underway. This is going to be another good man episode 47, man. 47
47.
weeks.
Wow.
I know 47 weeks strong. Us just continuing to add value and continue to drop the gems on you guys for what you need to do to get to the good life. And again, before we dive into the show, I'm gonna put it up here on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram. I'll put it up there for you as well. And then you guys maybe could be you go ahead and pin it up there. But
Yeah.
that is our growth event. The Good Life 2022 growth event is coming up on Sunday, January the 9th. We are super excited about this because all of these 47 weeks, all of the times that we've been coming to you guys live, talking about health, wealth, mindset, relationships, happiness, fulfillment, all the weeks that we've been giving you this, we're actually consolidating it into one 4-hour session where you're going to get me, Kabi, Stu, giving you exactly what you need to make sure that your 2022 really takes off. So this is the first event that we're putting together, and we're really excited about it. We really have some good information to drop you. And for people that are listening, maybe you've thought that coaching isn't for you, or coaching might not work for you. If that's the case, then give us a shot. Let us know. We're all coaches in these respective spaces. Myself on the wealth side, could be on the health side, Stu on the mindset and lifestyle side of things. And we're here to just serve and get you to the next level and get you to the place where you can design the life that you want. So this event is our first crack at it. We want you guys to register. There's the link there at the bottom. It's that bit.ly link /TGL 2022. It's there on Instagram as well. But we're excited about it. We're excited about it. Kabi, what do you got to say about this? What are you looking forward to when it comes to this event?
Listen, guys, I intend to bring the fire, bring the heat for this. It's extremely important to me that individuals really get that good knowledge, right? And I made the distinction, or Chris actually helped me make the distinction between knowledge and education, right? When I say education, we're thinking about our educational system. But when you really think about it, the educational system has failed us in a number of different ways, whether it's learning how to acquire and control resources, whether it's learning how to take care of ourselves physically, mentally, and spiritually, whether it's learning how to take care of our mindset and set it up properly so that we are living the best life that we can possibly live, right? A lot of these things have been robbed from us, truthfully, right? I wish I could use another word, but I'll say robbed from us, right? And we've been rather educated or indoctrinated instead of getting the knowledge that we need. And my true hope in doing a lot of this is that, listen, I can cut the time in half for what it took me to get to some of this stuff. For you, cut it in half, if not more than that. Right, 2/3 would be great.
That's right.
Cut it in half, and get us to a point where we're sharing in common true knowledge, right? In such a way, because this ultimately, I can get my life right, I can be in great health, I can be in great wealth, but at the end of the day, what are we if we're not in community?
That's right.
Right, what are we not in community? I can take fucking great vacations, etc., but what does it mean if I can't go with my friends and family, right? Because they're not in good health or not don't have their wealth together. And we consider you guys friends and family, right? So we're really coming to pour out our heart, the things that we see, like the bottom line. You guys know I'm all about cutting the noise. The bottom line, what's the bottom line? What do you really need to know that you can implement right away in 2022 and get results instantly, right? And that's what we're coming to give out. For one of these things, one of these courses that each one of us is putting out courses, essentially, there's people out here on YouTube that are charging $5,000, $10,000 just to get you right.
That's right.
We're out here, sure, I don't even know what we're charging, but we're not charging enough.
We're
you know,
not. We're
because we
not.
want to get it out to you guys. So, please
It's
make
important.
an attempt to show up.
That's right.
Share it with somebody you care about. Somebody is doing well but could be doing better.
That's right.
Somebody that's not doing so well. Even more important that you share with them, right? And out of love, not out of I know better. And the way to really do it, if you want to impact those individuals, is that you be the example and you go ahead and you hop onto the site first and you go ahead and you get your ticket and you get yourself good and ready. Because sometimes all we can do is be an example. Right? That's all we
That's
can
it.
do sometimes. So please join. We're looking forward to seeing you, meeting you in a more intimate space. And I'm really excited because I love doing this stuff. This right here for me is, like I said, is therapy, and because I see so much going on in this world that oh man, it hurts my heart. So much going on in this world. How can I be part of the solution? And I feel I can be part of the solution by giving y'all what I have, and also shoot, taking some stuff from you guys too. So show up. All right, we appreciate you.
That's right. That's right, guys. Register at that link below, bit.ly/TGL 2022. Get yourself right going into the new year, and let us help you with it. So, hey, let's dive into the show. Let's talk a little bit about what we're talking about today. The title was pretty catchy. What is it? It's proteins, carbs, and fats. Oh my,
Yes,
right?
yes, 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 yes.
So let's
And a
dive
lot of
in.
let's do it. Let's do it. See, listen, a lot of us, you might pick this up, right? The oh my part is so critical, right? And that these things have been given to us and to put us in a state of almost, I see people paralyzed.
Mm,
If you've ever thought to yourself, you've heard to yourself, oh man, I cut down on my carbs and X, Y, and Z, or I cut down on my fats, or I increased my fats. Chris, you tell me this, man. But what is your thought? Do you think most people know what they're talking about when they are putting these things out, or is it just kind of like water cooler talking? I bought into XYZ company stocks at $11. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a ten bagger.
that's it. It's mainstream jargon, right? It's mainstream jargon. That's what it is. And again, not no fault of ours. Same thing that we talk about when it comes to money. Like, how do we know? How do we know? This is the information that we get from a young child growing up in school, getting these health lessons. We hear about these things about proteins and carbs, and let me limit this and have this amount of carbs in my life. This is kind of just the mainstream talk around health. And no, I don't think most people understand what they're talking about. They kind of, just like you said, when people start talking about stocks, right? They don't really know what they're talking about. You hear the common jargon around certain things. But if you really dive deep and you pull back those layers, people really aren't as knowledgeable as they think they are. And I think that's why, I'm excited to talk about this tonight, because I think it's exactly what it is about these proteins and carbs and fats and sugars and all this stuff. People just aren't as knowledgeable as they think.
Yeah, yeah, and I totally agree, man. And listen, we're not telling you, I'm not telling you that you're dumb. That's what they're telling you. They're telling you you're dumb. I'm telling you you're insanely smart. They've just invented language to confuse you.
Mm,
And we're here today. Today's going to be a little bit more technical than usual. Usually I stay pretty high level, but with a topic like this, we're going to get just a little bit into the details as we dive in so you can walk away knowing enough, not just to be dangerous, but knowing enough so you can impact your life and the life of somebody you love. All
mm.
right. That's what we're doing today. So I actually have behind me here a whiteboard, and I'm going to start utilizing it a little bit more on days like this when we dive in. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know what that song, but every time I say that, I'm thinking like that die. I don't know what that. Anyway, not for the Today Show,
We'll
but
save we'll save that for the growth event, right? You might get a concert. People might get a concert.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. We need you on voice, bro. I don't know if you play any instruments. Stu on trumpet, me on sax, you on voice.
There we go. I got the voice.
Oh man. So first thing I wanted to start with that I wrote down here, and I know you can't read it, but I'll turn so I make sure I keep this tight. Right. Today I want to keep it tight. And Chris, I want you to jump in whenever you want to jump in to provide the perspective of the people,
Yeah,
right? Because sometimes I'm in this world, so sometimes I can go deep, go too fast, or do whatever. Like slow it down if need be. Ask that question if need be, and put in your personal experience as well as need be, so we
yeah,
can make sure. My goal today is that you really have an understanding of this, in that you can go to the grocery store, you can look at a plate of food, you can do that and make the right decision for you. And when we start talking about proteins, carbs, and fats, oh my, a lot of individuals start to feel constrained. They start to feel like, oh, there's a whole bunch of rules coming. I can't do this and I can't do that and I can't do this. I propose to you that today is actually going to liberate you. It's going to liberate you from that guilt you feel eating foods you enjoy, but you don't know why. Oh, it's so good. If it's bad for me, why does it taste so good?
that's
And we're
right.
going to dive into that. All right. The number one thing I want you to understand on this is that knowledge is key,
Mm,
not education. I had education written, but I'm going to update that. Knowledge is key. There's a difference between indoctrination slash education that we're taught in schools versus knowledge. Now, Chris, I want to hear about your experience here about learning. When did you learn about proteins, carbs, and fats? When did you pick that up? Before you share, I want to share this. I picked it up from like the earliest I can remember is from TV,
mm.
right? That was one. And then two, I picked it up from my physical education teacher. And I'm telling you right now, that man did not know what he was talking about. He would tell you he doesn't know what he was talking about, but he had to come up with a lesson plan. That's where I got it first and
Yeah.
foremost. Where'd you get yours?
So oddly enough, one of the things I just shared on our Facebook page on my Facebook was our older Good Life show where we talked about the food pyramid being a lie.
Ha ha.
And so that is actually one of the first memories I have of understanding the balance of food, so to speak. That there should be limits on something, that you should have more of this and less of this. And that was my first understanding. And that's probably, I don't know what, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, something around that time where you're introduced to that side. Now, outside of that, because then I went through a whole period from 11 to 17 where I just ate whatever. I would eat horribly. Like my grandfather didn't cook. He didn't cook. So we would always eat out. And I was a swimmer at the time. And there was a McDonald's right next to the YMCA that I would go to. And I remember getting McDonald's before swim practice, go to swim practice, then get McDonald's after swim practice, go home. I remember this vividly for a few years. This was the routine. And so I had no education, zero education about health, what should it, right? What my plate should look like, proteins, all that. I didn't care about any of that stuff. Even though I had in the back of my mind the food pyramid. It wasn't until I got to college. Personally, I went to school, right? I'm classically trained as a chef. I have an associate's in culinary arts and a bachelor's in food service management. So you have to take some nutrition classes. It's in those nutrition classes, probably one trimester that I had, maybe two, that I really dove in and started to understand the nutritional basis and what our bodies are supposed to have according to the books, right? According to the nutrition books and what they tell us as far as portion sizes and things like that. That's where I really got it out. But I was, 18, 19 years old when I started getting that information.
18, 19-year old. By that point, you've already battled with acne. You've already battled with a whole bunch of things that, if given this knowledge earlier, may have not happened. And I say you, the general population, right? Um,
But
so
here's the funny thing.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know that because I went to culinary school. I don't know that had I not gone to culinary school that I would have gotten that even same
Mm,
that level of nutritional education.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like that was because
yeah,
that was already my niche anyway. So I had to understand something about food.
right,
But I don't think most people even get that.
right, right. I think that's huge, right?
Yeah.
And I propose to you, my friend, that that is true for medical doctors, even post medical school,
Yeah.
depending on what type of doctor they are. But most do not touch this. I don't need to know that. I just need to know, right? And that's not the conversation for today, but it's really important that we do that. And off of that, I'll piggyback and saying it's really important that we double check our sources.
Mm.
Where are we getting this information from? Because we have the I would have never even touched that if I didn't have an associate and a bachelor's in the field, right? Is what I just heard from you.
Mhm.
Same here. Same here, right? So I got mine. I took several nutrition courses, I'm certified by I've like 3 to 5 different certifications that expose me to this type of stuff. And I just have a natural curiosity of like figuring out what do I need to know to serve my community,
Mhm.
to serve my clients. Knowledge is not the same as education. That's number one. So double check, guys, because a lot of the issues that we come up with, if we weren't even exposed to that stuff, and I mean stuff you're seeing on the media, commercials, and stuff you're getting from your gym teacher, we would actually make better choices if we just didn't have any of that. Period. End of story.
Mhm.
If the food pyramid did not exist, I believe, and media and that stuff did not exist that influences our decision and our consumption, I believe as humans, we would make better decisions because we would listen to ourselves,
Mm. Sure.
right? We would listen to ourselves. And it's really interesting actually when the food pyramid first came out, from that point on, cases of obesity and diabetes, etc., doubled.
Mm.
You got to ask yourself, what? What do you mean? So we didn't get better. We got 2 times worse. Worse. And I mean the rate of. So that means the rate at which we're churning this stuff out, not the total number, but the rate was doubling, right? I'm not a big numbers guy, but bro, that's not good.
Right.
That's not good. So that's incredibly important that we check. And also, it's incredibly important that we realize we are 100% responsible for ourselves and our health. We cannot give up our health for government to take care of us. Now, I get it. There's a lot going through life. There's a lot going on with kids, with work, with you got a lot going on. Guys, I'm here to tell you that's by design. We've got so much going on that we can't even care about what we're feeding the machinery that's keeping us going. How? That makes no sense. I have so much going on. I don't want to think about it anymore. Make the decision for me, government. Make the decision for me. And in fact, we have the fox guarding the chicken coop. We have the individuals that are serving us things, making the decision for us and educating us on this stuff. If you look at a lot of the initiatives, I believe the food pyramid, along with others, I believe that was actually put out by Big Pharma,
Right.
or sponsored at least by Big Pharma at some point. And I want you guys to go and back and look it up and educate and go ahead and gain this knowledge, right? Educate yourself, because look at the different iterations of the food pyramid. From what it started to what is now, they'll tell you, oh, science has improved. Nonsense. I'm telling you right now that due to uh, what do they call individuals and not influencers in Congress, but essentially, but what do they call? Um,
Lobbyists.
Lobbyists.
Mm.
Due to the influence of lobbyists by the dairy administration, the meat administration, all these groups, they're the ones that influence it. Because guess what? If I've got billions on the line, and what I have to do is go ahead and change the mindset of the public so a particular law can be more favorable to me and my industry, guess what I'm spending more than 40% of my money on? Making sure that stuff goes through,
Right.
right? So that stuff is now baked into the pie. You've all heard of Monsanto and all this different stuff. Dive in. Don't just hear it as a trigger term. Dive in to see what is going on.
Hmm.
Why are we moving from small farmers producing very high quality meat, very high quality grains, very high quality foods in a natural way to a factory setting where we are literally, like, the stuff we're doing to animals and to grains, not just animals, by the way, right? If you've got a heart for animals, God bless you. But also what they're doing to plants just to get them onto our plate quicker, faster, bigger, tastier. It ain't got nothing to do. It has nothing. Please let me say this correctly again. It has nothing to do with our health, gentlemen and women, guys, ladies and gentlemen.
They're just feeding the beast, man. They're just feeding the beast. Everything is for, um, right, to consume more, to consume
More.
more. That's it. It's just more and more and more, and we're not paying attention to quality. But I believe that we will get back to quality. I believe that's the apex, right? Like that's what we're coming over to, this other side of getting back to quality. So
If enough people go ahead and get this knowledge and insist that this is the case, or they take it into their own hands, right? I always come back to the money side of things as well because I see so many parallels. It's either you're saying, forget this system. I'm looking for a way out of this system via digital currency, crypto, etc., or precious metals or whatever. Or I'm going out of the system. I'm going to start growing my own food. I'm going to shorten the supply chain that gets food to my mouth, right? So I know what's going on. I think either that's going to happen because I do not think those that are benefiting from the system now are going to willingly let it go. I
mm,
just don't think that's going to happen.
of course not.
I just don't think that's going to happen. So it's going to require grassroots, right? What do they call it? Grassroots
Grassroots movement.
movement,
Yep.
boots on the ground.
Yep.
That's why we bring this knowledge. Let me keep this rolling here because we actually do have a lot to cover. Number two, you're supposed to be dumb. In fact, not only are you supposed to be dumb, it's worse than that. You're supposed to think you are smart by studying this entire vocabulary that is invented so that you feel dumb.
Mm.
Putting out words that don't actually mean anything, but it is said enough so that we think it means something. And then we're getting back to the carbs, proteins, and fats, guys. Don't worry. So you're supposed to be dumb. All of this comes down to language. There's nothing new. There's nothing new here, guys. The fundamentals are the same. We are, our beings require energy to operate. And if you want to narrow it down scientifically, right? For me, I say energy is everything. But if you want to narrow it down scientifically, requires um, the Krebs cycle, right? ATP production, that cycle we learned about. And this atom drops and blah, 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 blah. Just know ATP production, okay? It requires that system. We need energy to operate, okay? There's a whole language then that's invented around this stuff. And it's to separate the normal, right, us, from the experts. And I'm telling you right now, there's nothing new there. It's just mirrors and tricks, mirrors and tricks. There's nothing new there. That's number two. Number three. Number four. I want you to come from the premise of this idea. There's this concept that what we need for our energy, for our body to function, is external, and it must go internal for us to need it, for us to get what we need for our body to function properly. Carbs, proteins, or fats. You must have a certain amount of carbs, proteins, or fats going into your body. That's how your body gets all that energy. I want you guys to recognize that we're only talking about consumption by mouth when we say that. I propose to you, if you've ever been through my 10-day juice feast and program, or if you're thinking about it, this is what you'll learn. We gather energy from so much more than what we consume through our mouth, and we chew and goes down. It is probably one of the least efficient ways for us to get energy.
And I think right there could be like, I'll stop you because that's where I think most people need to make the shift, because that's not what we've been taught. That's not what we've been taught. We've been taught that it's the external. We've been taught that it's what we eat, like that gives us our nourishment. That is what like what we put into our mouth is the thing that nourishes us.
Yeah.
And so how do we break away from that? Because now by working with you and knowing you, right, I know that's not the case. But before knowing you, I would say that was my mindset too. It's like, oh well, that's, you know, I have to eat well. I have to, it's what I put in. It's not that I can get it from anywhere else or there's anything else inside of me that can bring this out. So how do we get people to see that next side?
And I appreciate you stopping me there because this is critical. Once you debunk this premise, once you unlearn this, now you can learn something new. So once the idea that we consume everything we need externally, internally, through our mouth, we chew it, we take it down. I'm telling you guys right now, just you can either trust me or you can research it yourself, or both, preferably. But let's assume that you trust me, and I'll tell you that's not true. Okay. So now you go through the process of essentially regaining your body's ability to turn other things like breath, sunlight, electrical charges from the ground, um, laughter, joy, all that stuff. You can convert it into the energy we need to function properly. That is possible. Not only is that possible, it is a far better, far more cost effective when you do a cost benefit analysis than consuming it. We may need a whole nother time to go through this, but that right there, you just have to understand that to be true. Chewing solid foods to get energy is like, out of a list of 10 things, it's like 10th on the list of the effective, efficient, cost effective ways to get energy.
What comes before it? Name a couple things that other people can do.
Sunlight. How many times have you heard about the importance of vitamin D? And even that is underplayed.
Right.
Hydration, liquid form, breath, oxygen, um, laughter, joy. All of that is energy. You ever been tired and then somebody tells a joke and you're just like, ha, you bust out, and all of a sudden, how do you feel after that?
Feel rejuvenated. Feel
You
good.
feel a little more awake, right?
Feel lighter. Yeah.
Right. So all of those things, and I want you guys to think about it in terms of the way that you are living. What if you were a battery in a car? What if consider a battery in a car that you must charge it every single time for it to get energy versus a battery in a car that when you are running the car, the battery charges itself. That's the shift.
Mm.
You want everything you're doing on the day to not everything, but things you're doing on a day-to-day basis to be charging you. Not they're depleting you, and then you need to go to food to hopefully get what? I mean, bro, guys, we're talking about like less than 20, maybe 10% of what of that pie that we consume gets converted into energy.
Yeah.
Okay? So I want to keep rolling here because I do have quite a few things to cover. We've got to when you understand that concept, we can then debunk the whole entire concept of calories, the whole entire concept of macronutrients, which is what we're going to talk about. And you can really come to a way of designing a lifestyle that serves your particular goal, not basing it on this. Again, this is all language that was developed. Nobody was talking about carbs. Nobody was talking about calories. Nobody was talking about that stuff 20,000, 22,000 years ago in Rome or whatever. And the way that they have us tricked is they have us thinking because they weren't speaking the language that we're speaking now or experts are speaking now, they didn't live as great of a life. Nonsense. That's not true. That's not true at all. Right? That's not true, guys. So incredibly important. All right, now let's move to the thing. Now, Chris, I want to ask you,
Yeah.
from just your memory, whatnot, if you had to define proteins, carbs, and fats, how would you define them?
Like individually, like
Hmm.
you know,
Each one.
protein. So protein, a protein is like your meats. It's your chicken, your steak, your eggs, the things that build up muscle in you. I guess I think that's how I would think of protein. Carbs, your pastas, your starches, your potatoes. Those things they burn in your body as sugars, and then the fats, the oils, the avocado, the olive oils, the fats in general. Don't remember like kind of what they're for, but again, know that they're part of that balanced kind of nutritional plate. So that's
Yeah.
how I think of them.
And this is really interesting, man. First and foremost, your knowledge is above average,
Mhm.
right? So you know more than the normal person, like far above the
Right,
normal person, right? This is not going down on the normal, looking
right,
down on the normal person. Normal in the sense of this is what we encounter if you don't go off the path
right,
to go seek it your own. If you don't major in it, if you don't minor in it, if you
right,
don't get a degree in it, if you don't study it on your own, if you don't test it, if you're gonna get a good trainer or a coach or a nutrition or somebody who can really dive in, and even then at that level, there's a ton of misconceptions. So
yeah.
you're pretty close, bro. But that is it depends who you ask.
Mm.
If you ask Dr. Sebi, not Tebi, we're moving too quickly. If you ask Dr. Sebi, he's going to tell you, I don't know what proteins are. I don't know what they are. Western medicine told me about this concept of proteins. I don't know what they are.
Right.
Just because you have a word with a couple of definitions after it does not mean that that word matches that that other words behind it. No.
Right.
If enough people agree that that's the case, we can pretend that that's the case. But guys, I tell you right now, they don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know. So I'm not going to sit here and give you some definitive definition of proteins and carbs. They don't know.
Yeah.
They've just agreed that this is what we're going to call it. This is what we're going to put these categories into. And guess what? There's a whole bunch of stuff outside of those categories that they're like, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it's a protein, sometimes it's a carb. They don't know.
Right.
That's what you got to understand. You're made to feel dumb, but they don't even know. They've just agreed. And not just they agreed, they've agreed. So now you have to agree because you're not an expert.
And we just take it as it is, right? We're
as
just like,
is.
all right, well, if they said so, that's
Correct.
what it is.
Now, guys, see, if we have the concept, if we're working from the concept of like of we do not need external material. I'm going to call it material to go internal before we are well and whole. Then what does that tell you about the entire science surrounding proteins, carbs, and fats? It's iffy, it's shaky at best. Okay. However, I do have a write up here that I want to read to you guys and get you guys to get because you're okay, fine. Well, give me something to work with. All right, fine. I'll give you something to work with. All right. But I just need you to understand that they don't know. They're guessing. Or they've done enough that they're in agreement on what it is, but they don't know. They really don't know. All right. So let me start with proteins. This write up. I'm gonna give you something, but I just need y'all to remember they do not know. Okay. Um, Proteins, understanding proteins. Foods that are high, that have a high concentrate or complex structure of amino acids are called proteins. Isn't it interesting that we immediately go to flesh, muscles, organs, glands, and tissues, and to a lesser degree, nuts, beans, and sometimes starches like grains. All right. See, amino acids, not proteins, are what the body requires to build tissue and acts as carriers and buffers. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. Amino acids, not proteins, are what the body requires to build tissue. Amino acids group together in a specific sequence to become usable, and we call those things proteins. When we consume proteins, and from this forward, I'm going to do this when I say proteins, because I need you to unlearn so you can relearn. Okay. Proteins, when we consume proteins, right? The amino acids from animals, nuts, beans, the body must first break down those proteins into amino acids before it is usable by the body. These separated amino acids then group together into certain sequences that we call proteins, but not all of that fits in a neat box. And that's when our bodies can then utilize them. So, this whole thing about you got to eat your proteins, make sure you get your protein. Our body cannot even utilize proteins.
Our body just needs the amino acids.
It needs the materials.
Right.
We're calling it amino acids. What is it called in Chinese? What is it called or Mandarin? What is it called in Swahili? What is it? Is it proteins, or do they just like not have a concept for it? See, we I'm pulling y'all back because I don't want y'all to go like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have it solved. I'm not solving anything for you today. I'm actually deconstructing it for you more than anything. You might leave more confused than you came in, but that's okay because you thought you had it in boxes. It was clean. You didn't have to think about it anymore. But that's just not true. That's just not true, right? So, but what I'm reading to you here is that protein is the middleman. We eat these proteins, and then our body has to go through. I mean, when you talk about hard work, this is hard work that your body is doing. If you don't trust me, eat a lot of animal flesh, and then tell me how your energy is right after, within 2 3 hours after.
Have we addressed the carnivore movement? Have we
Not
addressed
yet.
that?
I can't. I can't today. I can't. I need my. I need my mental. I can't do it, bro. Right. But this is interesting though. I'll tell you this: a concept you should replace. Besides, we take things external, bring it internal, and we break it down to. Is just think about it like just material that we put in. Right. We put this material in, and our body may or may not take some of that material to help it produce what it needs. But even if those materials are not present, your body can continue to do that process of converting that material into what it needs. Whatever you consume through your mouth, your body doesn't use this. It breaks it down. It changes it some way to fit. right? And guys, it's so this requires, I'll read this part for this requires a lot of energy and initial acid, hydraulic acid release in pepsines. And we'll go, and by the way, this is, if you've listened to, I've posted a lot on this on my other page that got taken away. But that actually harms our body, that process, right? Just like when you go through a factory that's making something, guess what? There's waste released. I don't care how green that factory is, there's waste that is released. All right. In the interest of time, I'm going to jump off of this real quick. It's important to note that the body does not burn amino acids for energy. So, literally, it's just the building blocks. It is also important to know that all foods have protein because it's all living creatures, living organisms that what? It's just the building blocks. Anything that has structure must have the building blocks. So it all has protein, all of it. Well, this has more and da 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 da. Oh, word. Well, just because it has more, do we need more? Right? Um, and these foods are predominant. So blah blah blah. And then now let's jump to what your body does use for energy. Okay, sugars. Sugars. Now, I hear a lot of people talk about sugars, and they talk about carbohydrates, and they talk about da 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 da. It's the same thing, but we have in our heads that it's different. As the engine in your car needs carbon-based fuel to run, so does your physical body. The main, right? So your body needs functions off of like not macro, but micro amino acids. So proteins to amino acids, fat to fatty acids, and then simple complex sugars to just simple sugars that your body uses, right? So it is the sugar that's mixed with the oxygen that your body burns for fuel. Your body loves this stuff. Your body goes from the sugars to the fats, depending on your activity. Both of them fantastic. And I personally, especially if you're an athlete, it takes time, effort, and the right environment to tap into the fats. But if you can tap into the fats, much, much, much cleaner source.
Why do you say that?
You get more for your bang. You get more bang for your buck. You're
From
looking at
tapping
like
into it.
4 units of energy produced per carb, sugar, versus 9.
How do you break that down? Like, how does a person differentiate when they're tapping into the carb versus the fat?
Most people ain't tapping into no fat. I'm telling you that right now. Most people are not tapping into that. It takes, depending on what research you read, it takes a prolonged level of activity for your body to first go through the simple sugars and then it starts to tap into the fat. So let's say an athlete is going, I'm not going to give you a number here because I don't have it off the top of my head, but running a marathon for the first third of it is burning. But for the last third, that store of simple sugars or complex sugars that can be turned into simple sugars for usage is burnt up. So this is if you've been an athlete, when you find your second wind, that's typically a good indication that you're starting to tap in. And what feels better, the first or the second wind?
Second win.
Second wind, no question. No question. Right? That for an athlete, that's a pretty good indication that you're starting to tap into that. But see, most people don't, man. We carry that around our abdomen. We carry that storage around there. We never, and that's part of the issue. We never tap into that
Mm.
ever. So we just keep stuffing, 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 and our body literally never taps into our storage system. But we were made to tap into that storage system from time to time. Otherwise, we get what? our body loses its ability to actually tap into that, and we what? We lead to things like diabetes and et cetera. Modern problems, modern problems that require modern medicine.
That's right.
But those problems wouldn't exist if we did them the way that it was supposed to. So sugars into two categories: monosaccharides, polysaccharides, simple sugars, complex sugars. So you have simple sugars like glucose, all the stuff you read, oats, simple sugars, or fruits, right? And then poly, complex starches, complex sugars. Our body cannot use that. Our body, just like proteins, that's the middleman. Our body cannot use it. So what does that mean? Our body now has to go through the hard work of converting it into what our body actually needs before we use it. Well, what if we go ahead and just consume what our body can use right away? We should be scared of man-made sugar, not God-made sugars. That's why you have athletes out here, and you can go online and YouTube and watch fruitarian athletes that are what are eating fruits, and their energy is insane because they cut out the middleman. That's what they're doing. They're cutting out the middleman, and they're getting straight to the simple sugars. They're getting straight to the amino acids. They're getting straight to the fatty acids. So you cut out the cost, the waste product, you cut out the actual energy required to break that down, and then you cut out all of this extra stuff. You get straight to the energy, no nonsense, right there. Utilize that up, and guess what? It doesn't leave as much gunk behind, right? So it's that simple, man. And I had a lot more I wanted to dive into, man. But guys, this is why the process of resetting your gut is so difficult. First and foremost, one, two, why it's so important, because that's when you can get your body to get back to what it was designed to do, and that way you cut the waste, you lower the cost, you increase the benefits, you increase the output, you essentially just make your body more efficient. And I want to jump to make sure we cover this as well. Guys, so guys, protein goes to amino acids. That's when your body can actually use it as the building blocks. Your body doesn't burn it as energy. Fats goes into fatty acid. That's when your body can utilize it not just as lubrication and transport material, but also as energy eventually. Um, and then uh, uh, um, carbs. So complex carbs going into simple sugars. It's all sugar. There's nothing wrong with sugar except the sugars, modern sugar that we are craving, right? That we have right now. Our bodies are just not. They have not caught up to our eyes and what we have in society,
Mm.
and not even caught up. There's just a mismatch, right? Because being caught up too, I mean, we're talking about metaverses here, where you're gonna have basically a body that is. I just need it to like stay in a vegetative state so that I could utilize this and be in a totally different world, right? So the body is going. First and foremost, guys, before I keep going here, how different is that than the Matrix, dog? I saw an image of that. I'm like, bruh, we there.
Okay, we're there already.
We don't even need no cords. We are there.
We're there. We're there. It is the Matrix.
You
Are we
know?
are we living in the metaverse now? Is
Now,
this
right, Elon Musk, you bro, get out of here, bro. We know you're not. You're full of nonsense.
right?
Um, so guys, a few things I want to leave you with. I want to leave you with all of this comes down to a cost benefit analysis, and this should give you freedom. This is not about rules, additional. See, all of this additional rules and stuff that come up is because we're running into new problems because we're not doing what we're designed to be doing in the first place.
Hmm.
So it's a cost benefit analysis. Listen, I'm not saying that you can't have a glass of wine. I'm not, that's where people go automatically. I'm not saying that you can't have a piece of bread. I'm not saying that. It's what are you doing day in and day out? What is that 80%, right? Because our bodies are powerful machines. And whatever you give it a rock, it's going to work with it. It's going to do the best it can. But see, the cost of processing that is a lot harder than the cost of processing a piece of ripe mango.
Mm.
That's the difference. You could take, I don't care what you put in your, you can take whatever. But the cost, and by cost, I mean the diseases that come up, the energy cost, right? Those things, that's the why you should care. That's why you should care. Because all of that, the tertiary, so that's secondary, the tertiary impact is now it's weight, now it's anxiety. Now, because your body, your vehicle, physically, mentally, spiritually, is in a state of dis-ease. The car that you bought was supposed to run diesel, but you giving it regular gas. So it might run for a while, but don't be surprised when it leaves you on the side of the road.
Yeah.
That's the
Dana,
cost.
Dana asked one of those tertiary questions. How can I tell belly fat goodbye? Right? How can she get? That's one of those tertiary questions, right?
It's tertiary question, but it's important because a lot of it's an indication of once we get to the tertiary, that means that the primary, secondary has already been impacted.
Mm.
So before we even start talking, when we start talking about weight, we've already missed two levels. And how you do that, Dana, is best way I know how, reset your gut. Allow your body to take out the trash. Give your body enough time. And it's not about intake, right? It's about putting your body in in the best level of ease so that it can do what it was designed to do. And that's I teach that through my 10-day solid food vacation juice feast. And it's not anything crazy. I have it up now if you want to do it by yourself or at least learn by yourself. I've got it automated and fully set up. It's something you can do. I don't even have a price to it because I just want everybody to do it. All right. I should put a price to it though. But I literally just want everybody to go through it. Because once you go through it once, twice, you realize, oh, something was up. I don't want you to be 45, 55, 65 before we start dealing with this stuff. See, I don't want you to get bad news from the doctor before we start dealing with this stuff. This stuff moves so slowly that we overlook it. But the thing is, because it moves slowly, that means that we can intervene. Not that you have more time. Don't procrastinate. I have more time now because it moves so slowly. Man, I can have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks of pounding carbs. I'm pounding all this stuff, and then I can come back, right? But see, let's once you take your body to a certain, it's like a baby, right? Once you've been introduced to alcohol, to these, it's tough to fully go back to. Let me give another thing. It's like being a virgin, bro.
You
It's gone. It's gone.
can't really go back after
No,
that.
no, you can't. And a lot of our stuff works that way. Like we cannot take our body backwards. That doesn't mean there isn't any hope or that you can keep going because you take 4, 5, 6 more steps forward. It's that much harder to come 4, 5, 6 more steps back to being whole and complete. But our bodies are powerful as hell. Do not underestimate the ability of the body to go back to what it was supposed to do if you give it enough time. You have to that's it. That's the piece right there. You have to put in enough time at the ease level and your body will go back. This all this stuff that I pointed out early in the pregame with curing cancer and all this stuff, what did they do? It was not the specific thing that they were eating. See, we go out to all this stuff. We found this one fruit in the Amazon that will give you forever lasting whatever. No, it's that you actually limit what goes in to only the bare minimum and allow the body to take care of itself. See, you could consume no carbs and the body will create carbs out of what it has. You can look this up. This is a study. Okay. Um, so a cost benefit analysis. That's what we're always doing. It's not about the ketos or the Weedo. Name all of them. I don't even have them all in my head right now, right? It just gets all confusing. This is where we get confused. It's like I don't know what to do. Da, da, da. Let me give you one line that will solve all that. Eat closer to the sun. That's it. That's it. Eat closer to the sun. Why we eat is for energy. That's why we eat. Our energy one of our primary sources of energy comes from what does a plant need? A plant needs what?
Sun and water,
Sunlight,
water,
water,
nutrients,
oxygen,
oxygen.
right?
Yeah.
or carbon dioxide, actually,
Okay.
right? Guys, look at that. Look at how that pairs up. Living creature. So eat closer to the sun. Simplify all of that. All of that. Eat closer to the sun. Guess what? A boiled piece of steak is pretty far from the sun. It's far. Think about your ecosystem chart or map that you were taught in seventh grade or eighth grade or whenever. I think I saw it in seventh grade. Right? As you get closer to the sun, you get more energy. As you get further from the sun, you get less energy. It's that simple. That's the cost benefit analysis. You can trust me on this, utilize this on anything. Something that comes in a box is not super close to the sun. It's just not. It's just not, right? So that's incredible. That's what I would put. If I had to give you one tip, just eat closer to the sun. The other line of demarcation is we were first breatharians, meaning we got to bulk most of our energy from breathing and the sun and the electrical charges below our feet as that we connect to the earth. Then we were liquidarians, right? You can still see some of them now. There's tons of species of monkeys and whatever that are literally juicers. They'll take a bunch of grapes, put it in their mouth, chew it, drink the thing, and then spit out the fiber that you need so badly, right? We were first breatharians, getting most of our energy from that. Then we were liquidarians. Then we were fruitarians, and then everything else followed after that. So then you get to things like raw vegan. See, none of those things was heat applied to. Breatharian, liquidarian, fruitarian, none of them required heat or fire. Raw vegan, none of that requires heat or fire. Then we get to normal vegan. That is a huge line of demarcation. Then we get to cooked foods, where now we're even getting less of what we had energy wise in terms of what we're taking from our foods, right? And now, not only are you further away in terms of, let's say, sun, plant, eaters of plants, eaters of eaters of eaters of plants, right? So you take it, you eat an eaters to eaters and eaters of plants, right? No, I'm not raw vegan. Eaters and eaters, I don't subscribe to titles like that for a number of reasons, and we'll do that for another show because it paralyzes us. I want you guys to go to the source. I don't want you to put yourself in these modern boxes. Ain't nobody was calling themselves a raw vegan 2,000, 3,000 years ago, but they were doing just fine. What did they do? They used common sense. Not common sense, right? But they used divine knowledge, right? To write it out. And I think, thank you for asking that. I think that's incredibly important to note because none of these boxes are real. They're inventions, right? So you go to that, and then you go to vegan, then you go to keto, and what is keto saying? Keto saying just no carbs, right? Keto saying just no carbs. Carnivore is staying out, right? So what are these things? You can literally put it on a line. Like we could do another show where you just line it up. And we're gonna end this here pretty soon as we're over time. But you can line it up and see, oh, where does this go? Oh, this is pretty far from the sun. Da-da. I'm not saying that's necessarily bad. That's why I don't subscribe to a title. I'm not saying that's bad. It depends on your environment. We started this pregame by talking about where do you live. It depends on your environment. It depends on what you have access to. It depends on so many different things, your personal makeup. But at the end of the day, you're going to get more energy from a fresh ripe mango than you're going to get from boiled steak. I don't care, right? If that's all you have access to, that's all you have the access to. The body is going to do what the body needs to do. The body will take care of it, but it's at a higher cost. That's all.
Right.
But see, people who do that, people say, well, my grandfather ate, blah, 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 blah. Well, guess what your grandfather was also doing? He was chopping wood, he was running, he was doing all types of different stuff, right?
Yeah.
And he still may have gotten heart problems, right? So I want y'all to, like, this is not about what your neighbor is doing. This is about what's going on with you. You're responsible for your body. Your neighbor is responsible for their body. I'm not saying you need to go run out there and be a raw vegan. In fact, please don't do that. There's a transition process because you're gonna give up. It's gonna get boring. You're gonna get whatever. Why? We live in America. We live here, right? If you lived on a farm in Ecuador, guess what? You'll probably make different decisions.
Sure.
You'll be forced to make different decisions. But we're trying to keep up. We're trying to keep up with the development of the world, of how the world is going. So the our jobs and how the world and society is moving is what dictates what we do. Where it used to be what we could grow or what we had access to, and then it used to, you know what I'm saying? So it's really, really important that we understand that there's a whole lot of factors in it. Most people don't have the slightest idea how to grow or raise anything, but they eat every day. It's just different, right? So I want to take y'all to the source. Forget about carbs, proteins, and milk. Right? We all know we should be eating plants. If you eat animals, go eat that too. But like we all know we should be having some fruit here and there, some water here and there, right? We all know these things, but they overcomplicate it. Then we just like, forget it, blah, 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 blah. I've met ketos with problems. I've met raw vegans with problems. I've met carnivores with problems. So none of that is perfect. But when you understand the principles, you can make the right decision for you in that time, in that space, in that place that you're in.
Yeah.
So I want to end that there. And I want to say that, guys, this is incredibly important that you do, you don't need to go pick up like every single freaking book out there. There's actually some key ones that you need to understand. But more so, more than anything, you just have to understand the principles behind it. Don't get confused by the jargon. Don't get confused because the people, the gatekeepers, they don't even know what they're talking about. They don't. They will give you words. They'll come right out. But I should have been a doctor. I bullshit with the best of them. All right. Or you say you take the mineral oxide and you go out here and blah 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 blah. Oh gosh, he's so smart. He knows his science. No, no, he doesn't. No, she doesn't. They are regurgitated jargon. That's all that is. You are intelligent. You do have divine knowledge. You were born with it. That connection was severed. It was beat out of us by our parents, by society, by school, by all it was beat out of us, by media more than anything. It was beat out of us. It's time for us to go ahead and return back to the source. It's time, as my uncle would say, to get back to the farm. It's time to get back to the farm. All right, guys, if you want to hear any more about this stuff, we're going to keep going with these episodes. We can dive into this a lot more. Um, but I want to tell you guys that, listen, this is incredibly simple. It's not complex. They want you to think it's complex, but it's not. The more simple you make it, the better. You're actually way better off. Simplify your plate. I heard this account that was like decolonize your plate. Let's go higher. Let's go higher. Let's go higher, higher, higher. Because now I'm telling you, I'm from a place that was Not all of them were making the right choices. Right? This ain't about no college. This is about where you are right now and making the best decision for where you are right now. And we can do it simply, by making a few tweaks here and there. And that's something we talk about all the time here, and we'll keep talking about. So, much appreciated, Chris. I'll let you bring this home.
Yeah,
But what does the pin mean?
yeah,
I'll let you
definitely.
answer that. Go ahead,
Yeah,
bro.
definitely, Kim. And I appreciate it. Could be uh, you're seeing it on the bottom of the screen, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, also pinned on Instagram. That is the link to our 2022 growth event. So the Good Life, myself, Kabi, Stu, who's not here with us tonight, but we'll be back. We're actually holding a growth event on Sunday, January the 9th, from I think 1 to 5 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be a 4 hour event where we're going to give you guys all of this information in a tight, neat webinar type of event where we get a chance to virtually tell you guys and share with you guys these tips and tools to help you get your life to where you need it to be. So register for that event. You see it, it's a bit.ly link /TGL 2022. Again, it's coming up on Sunday, January the 9th from 1 to 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 to 5 p.m. Eastern. Share it with your friends. Thank you, Kim. Put it on your calendar. Register on through our Eventbrite link. Get this to people that want to take their life to the next level and really just, kind of hone in on what they want. You heard Kabi tonight really debunk some of the things that we might be thinking about when it comes to our health, really unlearning and relearning some of the keys and the tools that we actually need, the things that we haven't been taught from these institutions, and really taking our knowledge to the next level. That's going to be the type of stuff that we're going to give you guys on Sunday the 9th, just intimate in an intimate setting with all of us. And yeah, share it with some friends. You see the link down there. Feel free to register. We're coming back again every Wednesday, though. We have 2 more Wednesdays before we have our actual event. If you haven't already, find us on Facebook, jump into our Facebook group, stay engaged with us because we just want to make sure we're sharing all the good stuff with you guys. All right. So could be great episode today, man. Thank you for dropping the knowledge. Hopefully, everybody that's listening took some great stuff from it. And yeah, we'll wrap this thing up. Jump on next week. All right.
Sounds great. All right, guys.
Perfect.
Appreciate you, and you guys have a great one. And
Enjoy.
remember, you are 100% responsible. You have all the power. You are intelligent beyond what we're made to believe. We know what it is. So let's get back to trusting our gut. All right,
That's right.
guys.